Thanks for clicking into the, what is it, Thursday morning. I want to do a pattern discussion here because we got some big changes coming, guys. Second half of November, not until then. Again, you don't want a premature winter anyway, but I like what I see. What I'm showing you here first is reds are areas of higher pressure, blues are areas of lower pressure. These are called heights. Basically, warm air is less dense than cold air. So you can see it on a level pressure surface of where the warm air, higher pressure is, and where the colder air or lower pressure is. And right now we're under a pattern where we got this Pacific influence. So you have a lot of air coming in off of this low pressure area off the Pacific, and it's bringing in mild Pacific air. Now we have this little bit of blocking or high pressure over Greenland, which is trying to filter some air in to the northeast, which is why this weekend it'll get chilly, but no major pattern change yet. Now what you're looking at is a 5-day average of what the pressure pattern is going to look like over the next, say, 16 days. So as we move on, I want to show you how this ridging of high pressure starts to retrograde back to the west, and a big reason is because of this trough of low pressure retrogrades to the west. So if you can get these heights or these areas of pressure to build more off the west coast and get up towards Alaska, then it opens up the floodgates for more Arctic air, or polar, maybe Arctic air. We'll see. But as we move on, just moving on, I'll move a couple days ahead, you can see how that ridge begins to slowly back up. And notice the trough here slowly backing up too. Okay, so everything starts to back up. So by the time we get, say, around the 15th of November, maybe a little after, look at the pattern now, guys. And the models have been consistently showing it. Every model's showing it. So it's not like I'm just picking a fringe model here. You can see these heights start to really build up into Alaska. And when I see something like this develop, I know that there's a chance for a lot of colder air to funnel in from the north, not just off the Pacific, because this is going to really block out a lot of the Pacific air. There'll still be some filtered in, but you're going to be able to get a charge of air coming in directly from the polar region and potentially the Arctic region as we get in later through the month. So this could be a pretty big deal, guys. Now also keep in mind that this is an average of many different runs. Okay, it's a 5-day mean of many different runs, but if we look at what the individual runs show, you could start to see, these are temperature anomalies. You can see a lot of these individual runs are starting to show, potential big cold outbreaks. Now some are warm, right, so it averages it out to not much, but one of these is going to end up coming to fruition. We don't know which one, but based on some of the other factors I'm looking at, for example, we know there's been extensive snow cover throughout the month of October, above average. Actually, I think it's the third or fourth most since the records began about 60 years ago. And what this does is, and this is according to Dr. Judah Cohen, who does some excellent work in this arena, is it strengthens the Siberian high. When you strengthen the Siberian high with the snow cover, you get more of a poleward flux of heat. That breaks down the stratosphere, and we've been seeing that, guys. Look at the stratosphere right now. If we go out here to current, it's pretty much split. This is at 10 millibars, way up in the atmosphere, higher than planes fly. And as this happens, there's about a 2.5 to 3 week response of whatever happens up in the stratosphere happens in the troposphere. What's going to happen is, as we get 10 days from now, the stratosphere is going to look like the vortex looks like it wants to settle off of its main position. Okay, so it's a very weakened vortex. You can see over in the North Atlantic, and eventually that could promote a lot of high pressure on the west coast and almost a cross-polar flow of this working its way down to the east coast. And you can see as we start to lower in the atmosphere, you can start to see that happening. So if you combine what's going on in the stratosphere, which by the way is unprecedented, okay, you look at what all the models are pretty much showing, European, GFS, Canadian, have been showing for a while, with the average of heights building off the west coast of Alaska. The recipe's there for a pretty active second half of November, very cold second half of November. Now, is it going to snow? Up in New England, I think it absolutely will in the mountains. Here, where we are, mid-Atlantic region, it's tough. I mean, I could see towards Thanksgiving we can maybe see some white stuff, but, let's not get too ahead of ourselves here. I think this pattern continues into December, and we see where it goes. But I'm telling you guys, do not be surprised if after the second week of November, all of a sudden it gets very cold outside. Remember who told you first. Exciting stuff, more to come.